Hey there, welcome to Have Fun, Be Nice, Do Good Work. I'm Katie, and today is Knitting Podcast Episode 1. I thought I'd start today by letting you know what I'm wearing. Not because I made it, because I certainly did not, but because I love it. This is a sweater from Gap, circa maybe 1992. It was my brother's in high school, and he gave it to my dad at some point, and then I got it from my dad's house last year, and now I wear it. It's always one of the first things I wear out of the laundry, because it's just so cozy. Since this is my first knitting podcast, I'll give you just a quick overview of my knitting life. I started knitting about 6 months ago and crocheting about a year and a half ago. So I'm still very new in the knitting world, but I have really gone 100% obsession into it. Really gone down into the YouTube rabbit hole of knitting podcasts and have enjoyed watching all of y'all's podcasts so much. Hi, baby boy. Do you want to come up? There's room, I think, for you. There's room over here. You can come up. Wow. He does not want to come up. Okay, that was rude, Bingley. Anyway, I have so enjoyed watching other people's podcasts and channels, just hearing about their knitting and getting ideas and inspiration and just sort of getting to know other people in the Fibre community, which is nice. I thought I would like to also share what I'm doing with you all rather than my husband so that he doesn't have to pretend to be interested in every detail of my knits. To be clear, my husband is the most supportive man I've ever known in my life and is 100% such a cheerleader for me, and every time I show him a finished object, he's amazed and inspired, and I couldn't be more appreciative of him. And also, I don't want to bore him with all the details that I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about them to you, and then you can just turn off the channel if you don't like it. It's perfect. So let's get started with some finished objects. My first finished object of the year is my spring sorrel sweater by Wool and Pine. Isn't it beautiful? I love it so much. This sweater is knit with Fireweed Fiber Co.'s Wood Lily DK, and that is in their 2024 Advent Calendar colorways. So 24 colors that got their inspiration from a winter sunset. I really loved the project. This is my second knit top and my first knit top with kind of fanciness with these dip stitches in it, and I found that it was really fun. Wool and Pine, their instructions are very, very helpful. They had a lot of instructions on fit, and what I loved is they had fit videos from two different people with two very different body types so that they could talk about different fit issues, and I really appreciated that. This was such a fun knit. It worked up so fast. I loved working on it. I did run into a couple issues because I am but a baby knitter. The first was picking up the stitches for the underarms, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but there's a bit of a hole here. And it was worse on the other side, but I sort of wove in my ends to cover up that hole. So I'm not upset about it. I don't think it's going to be that noticeable, and I can easily just sort of mend it in a way that it won't be a gaping hole. But it is something to keep in mind for the next time I pick up stitches in the underarm. I'm definitely going to need to look up some YouTube tutorials on that. So if you have any that you recommend, please let me know. The other thing, I say the other thing as if there are only two. There are more than two issues. The other thing that I struggled with a little bit is this sweater is all purl. It's reverse stockinette. And so after I finished the yoke, I wanted to switch to knitting. So I turned it inside out and I tried to do a wrap and swap, a wrap and turn. And it didn't go that well, but now that I say that, I can't find the wrap and turn, so maybe it went better than I thought it did. I have since taken a class. The Maryland Sheep and Wool had a Winter Fiber Fest this past week, and I took a wonderful class on short rows, and they talked about the wrap and turn. So I feel much more confident for the next go round whenever I do that again. The last thing is the sleeves are not the same length. They're not the same length by a couple rows. And I don't think it's that noticeable when I'm wearing it because it is, yeah, it's like cap sleeves. So I don't think it's terribly noticeable. And I don't feel confident that I have the skill set to do sweater surgery on it to fix it. So I'm going to wear it for a little while. And if it's still bothering me, then I will attempt to fix it. And hopefully by then I will have gained some new skills. The good news is the sleeve is quite short. So worst case scenario, I have to take the whole thing out and redo the sleeve. It would actually only take me a couple hours, but I love it too much and I want to wear it too badly to keep working on it. And I don't think anybody's going to notice, except for maybe all my friends who watch this video and then they're like, hey, your sleeves aren't the same length. Anyway, there it is. One last time. The Spring Sorrel by Wool and Pine. My second finished object is the Halina bag by Mermaids Yarns. I don't have this on me because it is a gift for my friend for her birthday. So I'll let you see pictures instead. I crocheted this in sugar and cream solids in black and jute. Lined it with a thrifted pillowcase and has a little magnet closure from Joann's. This is for my friend's birthday. I love using this yarn for bags because it's so sturdy, not too stretchy, it's washable, it's just perfect. I did go down a hook size for the straps to hopefully keep them from being too stretchy. And then of course I lined the bag itself to keep it from being too stretchy. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. My crochet work, I feel pretty good about that. There was one little error in there, which I'm not even going to point out to you. And if you see it, then you'll know what I did. If you don't see it, it's perfect. My sewing is like functional at best. I don't even know if it's that functional. So the sewing is tricky because I feel like it refines the bag. And it also makes it look way more handmade because my sewing is not great. But the fact that it will keep it from stretching, I think is worth the mediocre sewing job. And I put a little magnet closure in there because this is for my friend who's a mama. And so I wanted to make sure she had a way to close the bag. But I was not confident in my ability to do a zipper. Although I have done zippers before in sewn projects, I have not done it in crochet projects. That felt like a bridge too far. I just need to spend more time sewing like rectangles before I get fancy with curves and points and all that. I'm not there yet. One cool thing about this bag is that the way that the straps are made, it's adjustable. So you can wear it as a shoulder strap or a crossbody. And my friend is quite petite, so it's adjustable for her height, which is great, instead of my height, which is more. All right, those are all my finished objects. I just realized I forgot my first whip. BRB. My first whip is the Owls Sweater by Kate Davies, and I am using Lion Brand Scarfie in Wine and Truffle. And it is a color changing yarn. I love the color so much. It is a gift from my sister-in-law. She gave it to me for Christmas. And this is a bottom-up sweater, so I have made the body. I made it a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for because I like my sweaters to kind of hit me right at the hip bone and not go past there. Otherwise, there are too many like bumps for it to go over. Do you know what I mean? Just like from my body shape. And I don't like the look of it. So this is the body. And then I've got a bit of a sleeve, and after my last sleeve debacle, I'm trying to be very conscientious about marking where my increases are so that I can count my rows and make the sleeves a little bit more identical. She can be taught. Now, one thing about this yarn that was surprising to me is that this, I'll show you, this I started right at the bottom. This is from the inside of the first skein, and you can see it's like the red color. This is the wine color. And then this, I started on a new skein, and it's perfectly the truffle color in the brown. And so I had hoped that the skeins would all be the same. I don't know why I hoped that. Is that a reasonable hope? I'm not sure. But I had hoped that so that the sleeves could match. But even as I've been knitting, you can see, like, there are no increases or anything here, but you can see this stripe here of the wine is thicker than this stripe. And so I don't really know what the pattern is to be able to anticipate those color changes. And so I'm doing what any reasonable person does. I'm just gonna knit and see what happens. And the sleeves might not be the same, and I think that that's okay. And if it's not okay, that's fine. If it's not okay, I will probably frog and redo the second sleeve with hopefully a better plan than my current one if it looks terrible, before I join it all in the round to do the yoke. I saw a lot of people on the project pages, you know, they don't really like doing bottom up sweaters, so they had figured out the pattern to do it top down. And I just thought, I've never done a bottom up, let me follow the pattern and see what's happening. And I do like the process because it's enjoyable to me to sort of do the easy part first and have a lot of sweater with not a lot of thinking. That makes me sound like I don't want to do the work. I do want to do the work, but with my last sweater, I did the beautiful part first, and then I was just doing knitting, and I kept being like, well, this isn't as fun as the other part. So it's kind of fun that the less mentally engaging part of the sweater is leading me towards the part that's going to be really engaging. I am slightly nervous that I'm going to get to the cables and screw them up and then feel really sad that I spent many hours on all of this just to mess it up at the top. And I feel 1% nervous about the fit. So before, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to join them all in the round and then absolutely put a lifeline in so that I have a restart place if I need it. Once the pattern is finished, right, there will be owls all across the yoke. And they have, people use buttons or beads to give the owls eyes. And I'm going to do this with just one of the owls. I'm going to put buttons on the owl that's right over my heart because my sweet dad, we always called him the Great Owl. So I'm going to do that so that it's like my dad is right here. I did have that idea by myself, but then I saw that several other people do it too. So I'm glad, like, great minds think alike, right? Last time, here is a half a sleeve and a body of a sweater. The Owl's Sweater by Kate Davies. Next in my whip pile are the Favorite Socks by Kristin Lehrer. If you watched my everything I made in 2024, you'll see that I already made some of these, and they got lost in the mail as I sent them to my sister-in-law. They were a gift for her for Christmas. Different sister-in-law than the one that gave me the yarn. We do Secret Santa for our family because there are a lot of us, and so I got my sister-in-law Leanne and I sent her these socks, and they got lost in the mail. So I started another pair, but then they got found. They finally got delivered, so she has her socks. But I had already started these, and they're a perfect little pocket project. This is with the leftover yarn from the initial sock. You can see I've got it's like a very short little ankle sock, and I've got a heel, and I'm almost done with the instep decreases. And it's fun. It's nice to actually do it again right after having done it the first time. So the first one was my first pair of socks. So it's good to sort of redo the oh my gosh, what is the word? To redo the process This is what I call my pocket project. You can see I have it in a teeny tiny little project bag. And I just have enough yarn. Ooh, I'm not going to take it out because it's falling apart. But I just have enough yarn for the one sock. What I did is I weighed my leftover yarn, divided it in two, and then based on what I had spent yarn-wise of the first sock, I figured out, I think, if my math is correct, I estimated that I could make little ankle socks. The original socks were crew socks. But this is perfect because oftentimes I am in a situation where I can't have a bag of any kind. So I want a project that I can just fit in my pocket. So when everybody's pulling out their cell phones to do something, I just pull out my little sock and knit instead. So this is my pocket project, the favorite socks. I don't think I mentioned the yarn. The yarn is SweetGeorgia Yarn's Mohair Silk Sock. And the colorway is Lizzy Line. Really nice combination of purples and reds and whites. I really love it. I actually don't know. I was originally going to give these to my sister-in-law, but she got the first pair. So maybe I'll keep these for myself. I don't know. How about this? Leanne, if you're watching this video, let me know, and I'll send you these socks. Okay. Oh, dang, y'all. It's time for a big one. This is the Wallflowers blanket. Let me tell you about my project bag. This project bag was sewn by me in my sewing class that I took last year. And I chose this fabric just because it has elephants on it. And I would absolutely never use this bag out in public for like bag purposes. So it's kind of a perfect project bag. In here is my Wallflowers blanket. Let me get out some pieces here to show you. There's one piece, and here's another piece. These are the same, and so they will come together like this as like two garlands that will join together. And let me dig some more. This is a big project, can you tell? I have these big flowers, which is actually kind of a good indication of what this project is all about. There are just so many textures and colors in there. So these flowers will connect the two garlands. I know you can't see that well. I'll put up some pictures so you can see what it will eventually look like. I love it. I love this pattern so much. This is the Wallflowers blanket by Sue Matton, and I'm using the Terrazzo felted tweed yarn for it. This is not the recommended yarn for the project, but it is her sort of like second tier recommendation. She made the project for Rowan felted tweed, but then she says if that's too rich for you, you can also use this other, she recommends this other one. This blanket is only available as part of a 6-month course. So you get the pattern in a 6-month course. The course information is live forever, so you can return and visit it. It is not the expectation that you should keep up with the course necessarily. Some people in my group for sure did, but many people did not, and I was certainly one of them. One of the best parts of this project was actually that the first couple weeks there were no pattern releases. It was just talking about color. And when I was waiting for the course to start, I started like looking at colors because there are, I think, 16 different colors in this pattern. And so it's a lot of colors to choose. And I started just like looking around, right? Like seeing things that were inspiring me in the world color-wise, which already was really exciting. But then, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do. And it was very much in this box of what Katie likes. Katie likes pink and her second favorite color is green. And so that's what it's going to be. And then I started the class, and the first 2 weeks was just color work, talking about color theory and talking about what colors look good together, but also talking about color inspiration. And that was really that was really valuable. I would say if I got nothing else from the course, that was enough for me. I felt like most of these crochet techniques I already could have done on my own probably, although it is very helpful to have the video, especially for a lot of the joining techniques. Also, I'm not done with the blanket, so maybe in the next several pieces of the pattern, I'll be like, "Ooh, thank goodness I have the course." But the color work at the beginning, the discussion of color was so invaluable to me. That being said, this blanket starts out with, I think you just start out by using like 5 different colors in terms of the chronological order of making the pattern. And I started getting really nervous because to me, it was really starting to look like a little bit of a fever dream color-wise. It just was like it was not doing it for me. And then I started introducing some more colors. This dark teal and this sangria color, those two really helped balance it out. And then most of the blanket will be, stand by, will be these 2 colors. This blue and this green, which actually are very much more similar than I thought they were going to be. But most of the blanket will be this. And so I think that will help sort of tone down the little acid trip that's happening in these colors. This project is big, it's time consuming, it's very detailed. And so it is my goal to finish it this year. You will be seeing this blanket a lot. I hope to have updates for you just about every time we check in. One more time, Wallflowers Blanket by Sue Matton. My last whip that I want to introduce you to today is my tour blanket. Here she is. This is the Traveling Afghan Square number 2 by Cecilia Losada. And the yarns are kind of all over the place. I'll introduce you to them momentarily. This blanket is sort of an infinity project for me. I travel quite a bit for work. And this is my hotel room project. When we go to a new city, I find local yarn stores and I go and I get a mini skein of yarn, and then when I'm in my hotel at night unwinding, I will make a little square and add it to the blanket. So this has gone on 1 road trip with me so far. So let me tell you where all these are from. It goes in this order. I'm doing this in a spiral so that I can always sort of remember the path. So starting in the middle here, this is from Williamsburg, Virginia. This is from Raleigh, North Carolina. This one is also from Raleigh, North Carolina, but it's from the North Carolina State Fair. This is from Charlotte, Columbia, South Carolina. Let me make sure that you can see this one. This is from Athens, Georgia. This one is from Augusta, Georgia, and this one's from Atlanta, Georgia. So then my next one will go here, and I'll keep going around. At some point, if I don't want it to be perfectly square, I might start doing rows across the top or something like that. But I think I'm just going to have to end up having a map, a little chart for myself of where all of these came from. I do have journal entries for each one because each one is has kind of a cool story. I'll tell you one, which is this one from the North Carolina State Fair. I stopped and I talked to the woman who was selling the yarn and at her little booth. The yarns were beautiful and we just got to talking, and then her husband came by and he started chatting, and they came by. They have a service dog. So cute. Well, it turns out that they had just gotten married after many years of dating, and they actually met at the North Carolina State Fair. And they met there. He started helping her with her yarn. Hello, marry the man. And then he started getting interested in dyeing yarn. So now she spins it and he dyes it, and they sell it together at the fair. That service dog of theirs is a reformed livestock guardian dog. They bought him to protect the sheep, but it turns out that he didn't really know how to do that. He had other intentions with the sheep, and so they took him off the job, and then he ended up becoming a medical service dog. That was his true calling. It was really lovely. I got to meet the dog. I have 2 livestock guardian dogs. All they guard is our front porch, but they're so sweet, and it was just like one of those wonderful, like, thank you, knitting, for giving me this way to connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't have had. It was really lovely. So I would say, you know, each of these squares has a story like that is really touching. So each one has a little journal entry for me, and yeah, this is my tour blanket. I said I wasn't going to talk about it long, and then I talked about it a long time. But I will introduce you to my tour blanket kit probably next time. I'm going on a work trip in about a week and a half, and so I'm going to bring this with me, and I'll show you what's in my bag and how I do it on the road. So make sure to subscribe so that you can check in with that next time. That is, one last time, my tour blanket so far. Fold it up real nice. The last thing I have for you today is one acquisition. I am doing a low buy this year. If you're interested in knowing more about that, I have a video about it. I'll link below. And this yarn was like an immediate breaking of that low buy. I explain more in that video, so I won't go into it here. But this is Fireweed Fibre Co's Anemone Lace. Anemone lace. It is 72% mohair, 28% silk, and this colorway is called Big Bad's Back. This is from their 2013, it's 2025, Katie, 2023 release, their monthly subscription, their 2023 monthly subscription club, which was based on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is my favorite show of all time, on account of it being the greatest show of all time. And I was obsessed with it. And this is the colorway that is modeled after Spike, who is also one of the greatest characters of all time. I have a couple ideas for what I might use this for, but honestly, my queue is so long, it probably won't happen this year unless I get much faster at knitting. Oh, let me show you up close the colors. It's like a very moody purple. There's some black in there, and like little patches that are more grayish white. Oh, I love it. I think it's going to knit up so beautifully. And I'm tempted to make sort of a sheer top with it so that you can really just appreciate all the color changes in this. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. That's all I've got for you all yarn-wise. Like I said, I am hitting the road next week, a week and a half from now, for 10 days. So I will have some more acquisitions to show you, and I'll have plenty of time to knit. So hopefully my next podcast episode, I'll have lots of finished objects to show you. I will take you on the road with me next time, so make sure that you subscribe. You can click the bell icon if you'd like to get notifications, and follow me over on Instagram because I post a lot more little tidbits over there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have fun, be nice, and do good work.